Good morning, everybody. Hello. Today is May 9th. Yesterday, while in the middle of running through playthrough of V Rising, now that V Rising is a 1.0, fantastic game, by the way. You all should definitely check that game out. It's amazing. I made a video that was about, 2 minutes in length yesterday that talked about how it's possible, maybe even likely, that Arena Breakout ended up stealing code from Escape from Tarkov in order to be able to make their game. Now, the comments involved in this actually ended up teaching me a lot, and for that, I am actually very grateful and thankful to all of you guys that ended up responding to that. It helped me understand the world of coding a little bit more than I do. I'm obviously not a game dev. I'm not a coder. I don't necessarily understand what it is that I'm reading, and I tend to rely on the opinions of different folks. And I want to be clear when I say that this video is not walking back much of anything. I'm not walking back what I said in yesterday's video at all. It still looks sus as hell. This guy, hey, I'm Alex, is a known data leaker for Warzone. Alex ended up posting the same things that Logical Solutions was doing, with the exception that he was using a dump file that he was generating using UE Dumper to look at all of the library names. And what this is it's a list of variables. It's what they call floats. And this is what was explained to me. And a float is basically a fraction. It's not an integer. An integer would be a whole number. This is like a fractal number, like 100.3246. And they're referenced with names that are given to each one of these different values throughout coding everywhere. It's a common practice. Now, that's nothing more than using like a waypoint. Naming anything is something you can do. I can name it finger, or I can name it cell phone, or I can name it like offensive coaster. It doesn't really matter what I name it. I can name it anything that I want to. But when it comes to nomenclature, usually you would end up referencing what it is that you are trying to influence with these integers. In this case, if I was going to make a scav boss, let's say like Killa or Gluhar or Sturman, I would reference whatever those values are. Like, let's say he has an aggro radius. That aggro radius, the attack distance that he would engage me at, I would want a variable number assigned to something that referenced Killa or referenced Sturman, specifically them. That way, if I needed to go into the library and search for that variable again, I could, right? This image is ABI's code. This is what exists within Arena Breakout Infinite. This image is from Tarkov. The names are exactly the same. And yesterday, in a community note, I ended up referencing these tweets from Nikita where he said that people have noticed what is wrong with screenshots roaming around the Tarkov community. And it looks as though he's pulling this directly from his own copy, his own build of Tarkov, where he's referencing those exact things. He even goes on to say that Kajani, which is seen right here, Kajani distance when ready, distance to be enemy, Kajani min distance to loot. The Kajani references that are being made in Arena Breakout's floats are from a build of Tarkov prior to when Sturman existed, because Kajani is named after the artist that created Sturman. Okay, do I think that Arena Breakout Infinite is a direct carbon copy of that of Escape from Tarkov? No. No, I don't. There is enough difference in what Arena Breakout is doing to separate it from Tarkov. Is it heavily inspired? Yes, absolutely. There's no way you could say that it's not. I mean, just look at this house.
Be relatively chill.
Oh, 100%. The tape is up here. Anything about this house look familiar?
Stop! No.
100%. Anything about this house feel familiar to either of you? Have you ever seen the layout?
You know what I mean? Like, I would say heavily inspired would be a good way to put it. Now, there is also the argument that has been made where Tarkov is in Unity and Arena Breakout Infinite is in Unreal. However, I would say that when it comes to, and it's in C++ versus C. However, what I have been informed is that between the two coding languages, while they obviously aren't directly compatible, there is the ability to convert one to the other if people are talented enough. And let's be completely honest, when it comes to the world of copyright, you have to really be able to prove that something is directly copied, like one-to-one, in order for that to be enforceable in a court of law. You would have to be able to show that there's actual code being copied chapter and verse, source code in the game, to be able to prove that there was actual copying going on. Look at Dark and Darker for perfect example. Nexon tried to claim that Dark and Darker had ripped them off. It was a copy of Nexon's Project P3, right? We've all seen the videos that I've done in this, the legal issues and all this other stuff. In the case of Nexon referencing file names, let's say, those file names that were being referenced were very generic. They were things like torch.uasset or fireball.uasset, not killa underscore dist underscore 2 underscore scav underscore warn underscore. Like, it's a very, very specific nomenclature. Now, I would say the devs can write whatever the fuck they want. Whether or not those things are actually being referenced is another question. Whether or not those things are being referenced and have the same values is yet another question. And then whether or not there are bosses in the game that are actually using those floats. As far as I'm aware, there aren't. So what are they referencing with doing this? Maybe nothing. The other possible argument here in the room that is very possible and even more likely given light of what recent events have been is that ABI threw this stuff in there after getting a Tarkov build somewhere along the way and threw this stuff in here simply as a troll. They decided that they wanted to fuck with the devs over at BSG. And as weird and like cringy as that is, it's not beyond the realm of possibility. Game devs rib each other all the time. There is also one other possibility. This is the comment section from Very Bad Scav. Very Bad Scav is another YouTuber that focuses on Tarkov and tends to talk an awful lot about people cheating, trying to expose cheaters, that kind of stuff. He, in this video, goes through where someone had mentioned a YouTube comment about how this code for Tarkov was at one time shared with ABI devs back in the day when they were making their mobile game to try and make some Tarkov-esque mobile variant. According to the commenter, the mobile variant of Tarkov was scrapped as a project, which would explain why the code repositories, if there were source code pieces being shared with ABI, were shared with ABI and how they would have gotten some of the floats that they've gotten. Especially considering Kajani, let's say, the prior Sturman was being referenced in the code. But I can't just take this YouTube comment as gospel, mainly for the reason that he says, I know a person who was a BSG employee. He was working on AB projects back in 2021. So it's kind of hard to take a guy at face value who says, I know a guy that used to work there. Like, that's like saying my dad owns Microsoft. The other argument that there is to make in favor of Arena Breakout, if there was one, is they probably didn't steal any actual code from Tarkov, because if they did, it would probably run like shit. Now, granted, it's in Unreal 4, and it hasn't really been updated to anything new, but the netcode, apparently, in the performance of the game is like light years better than Tarkov had ever dreamt of being. Honestly, why Nikita and the Tarkov devs decided that they were going to try and make some Frankenstein version of Unity that pushes Unity beyond anything that it had been ever capable of making is beyond me. I don't know why they did what they did. In summary, okay? When I said in my last video that I believed that they had taken code, it was based on the word of people that I trust. Just like anyone else, I don't know how to code. So naturally, I'm going to talk to people that do. The people that do say it's absolutely possible that it could have been done. Is it proof that it has been done? No, it is not proof, but it does look suspect as hell. And unless it's just blatant trolling to try and fuck with the people at BSG using code or variables from a build of Tarkov that was around back in 2016, then fine. Do your thing, boys. Go troll away. It just looks really weird, and I don't see a reason why there needs to be animosity between two different brands of video game. Yes, it generates buzz. Don't get me wrong. And then people are going to choose their side. Some people are going to be over on the ABI side. Some people are going to be over on the Tarkov side. Some people love Nikita. Some people hate him. And if anything, Nikita fuels the fire. Like, he's talking about how there's this apparent rivalry between the two companies as if that really fucking matters. Like, just let the competition exist. But you know what would be great above anything else would be for guys like Nikita to stop writing tweets like this. Because we, meaning the players, not the game developer, but we, the players, are the people that feel unheard. If they actually got around to taking care of the things that they say that they're going to take care of, and they can actually prove that those things were done, then maybe I might be like, finally, thanks for doing that. But even then, I'm hard pressed because they put themselves in this position and they did it without giving any credence to any of us whatsoever. So if you want to go play ABI, go play ABI. Knock yourselves out. If you want to go play Tarkov, go play Tarkov. Knock yourselves out. I think my request is look at the merits of the game. What is the game offering you? What is it doing for you? As opposed to what makes the game shittier than the other one. In my opinion, that's not a reason to play either one. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for coming and checking it out. My name again is Onepeg. If you would be so kind as to sub the channel here, if you end up enjoying the content, that would be amazing. Please maybe even consider hitting the bell. That would also be really cool. I'll be live over at twitch.tv/Onepeg. If you want to come by and say hi, that would also be great. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much. Have a good one. Peace.